Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel Talking Spices. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and that way you'll be able to join me on this cooking journey and follow along with the recipes I post weekly. So today we're going to be making Lebanese lentil soup, and so this is the second time I'm doing a lentil soup because this one is with brown lentils. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start off by showing how you boil lentils. So it's really easy. I've used some dried brown lentils here, and I just rinsed them thoroughly ahead of time, and now I'm just pouring them into, so I have them in the pot and I'm covering them with about 2 centimeters of cold water over top. And so what you're going to want to do is just bring that to a boil, and then once it's boiling just like that, you're going to want to lower the heat and you're going to simmer that for about half an hour, give or take, okay, until they're soft. So now we're going to go over the ingredients. So I've got 2 carrots, 2 potatoes, an onion, 4 cloves of garlic. I've got for the spices, I've got 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I've got the lentils that I've cooked already. And I've got some lemon juice, and so you'd want to use real lemon if you have it. I didn't, so I'm using the one in the bottle. So this liquid is actually the water that I use to cook the lentils in. And then for the herbs, I've got coriander and Swiss chard. So I'm going to show you how I prepare all of this. So for the onion, you're just going to want to dice that up. And so something you can do is definitely chop and all your veggies ahead of time, because I didn't in this case, so the whole thing ended up taking me about an hour, which is usually not what I aim for. I aim for 30-minute meals or 45 at the most. So what you can definitely do just to speed up this whole process is just dice up your onions in the morning and all your veggies, and that way you'll be ready to go. So I've just heated up some olive oil here in a pot and added in the onions. So we're going to saute the onions for a few minutes until they become a golden color, and then we can add in the rest of the veggies. So ideally you would have all your veggies diced and chopped before this step, but as you can see I didn't, so I'm hurrying up to get this all done before the onions burn. So here I've rinsed off my Swiss chard very well. You're going to want to give it a good rinse. And you're just gonna want to chop it roughly. You don't need to chop it too much. It will reduce quite a bit in size. And so I'm using half of a bunch of Swiss chard, so 2 large of the leaves. And that's going to be just the right amount. You probably could get away with a little bit more because it does reduce so much in size. But this seems to be the perfect amount for the amount of soup that we're making. So there it is, all chopped, and now we're going to chop our veggies. So after peeling your potatoes, you're going to want to just dice them. It doesn't need to be too small, but into small pieces. And I find that 2 potatoes was just enough. If you had any more, it would have been too much, because you want it to just complement the dish. I find that the lentils are the main part of this dish, and everything else is just a wonderful complement. And you'll notice as you're looking up different ways of making lentil soup, this is not the only way. There are many different ways. Actually, my husband's family uses rice in their lentil soup. So you can use rice, potatoes, different kinds of veggies. But I think the Swiss chard is one of the most common vegetables that are used with the brown lentils. It just goes so well together. It's such a great combination. And you'll be able to taste that when it's done. So, okay, I don't know what happened with my filming here, but I must have missed the step where I add in the spices. So all this is here, I've added in the potatoes, the carrots, and the spices. So here I'm adding in the reserved liquid that was used to make the lentils. So that was really just water that was boiled with the lentils, and I kept it after draining them. So I'm adding that in and just letting that all cook together. And now I'm adding in 3 cups of chicken stock. And and you're gonna want to just let that simmer together, and then I'm adding in 1 more cup of water. So that's 3 cups of broth, 1 cup of water, and then the reserved liquid from the lentils, which was 1.5 cups. I have all of that listed below in the description. So here I'm just heating up some olive oil in a frying pan. And what we're gonna do here is just take our garlic and mince that up, or use your garlic crusher. And we're just going to heat up the garlic, and garlic only takes 1 minute to cook. Remember that. A lot of people always cook their garlic early on in the recipe, and my tip is that you really don't need to do that. It only takes 1 minute to cook, so it can be one of the last things you add to your recipe. So here I'm just sauteing it with the olive oil, and almost instantly you can smell that aroma that is so delicious. And what we're gonna do now is add in that Swiss chard. So we're just going to cook it until it's reduced in size, much like spinach. You'll see this doesn't take very long. It takes just a few minutes, and you'll start to see it reduce quite a bit. So look at how much that reduced down. So you could have definitely added a little more if you wanted to just finish off what you had in your fridge. So I'm adding that now into the soup here that's boiling. So at this point your veggies should start to soften. If they're not completely soft yet, that's okay. We're going to be continuing to cook this soup for a little while longer. So now that all the veggies are in there, we're going to be adding in the lentils now. So we're going to add in 2 cups of the cooked lentils. So if you hadn't already cooked the lentils, you would have been making this slightly differently. You would have just started with the lentils and added everything to it. So you can also do it that way, that's fine. So now we're going to just let this simmer on low to medium heat for about 15 to 20 more minutes. Okay, so at this point, now that your soup has been simmering for about 15 minutes or so, you're going to start chopping up the cilantro, also known as coriander. So we're going to just remove the leaves from the stems here. And it's about a handful of coriander. And we're going to be chopping it, giving it a rough chop. Doesn't need to be too fine of a chop. And it's good to add this at the end because it has such a nice flavor that you don't want to lose any of that. So you want to put it at the end when it's nice and fresh, and it's just the perfect complement to this dish. As you can see, I really like cilantro. I use it in a lot of my dishes, so it's one of my favorite herbs. So here we are just adding it into the soup. And here we are adding in a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So that's equivalent to a whole lemon juiced. So if you have a lemon, definitely use it. It's always the better choice. So now that everything's been well blended, and I've let it simmer now for another 5 minutes or so, just to get those flavors really absorbed into the soup. And I'm going to be serving now. So look at that beautiful soup. Look at those colors and the carrots and the potatoes. It is so healthy. It smells so good, so delicious, aromatic. It's full of flavor and full of nutrients. And I really hope you enjoy this soup. So thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, I would definitely appreciate a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more recipes like this. So let me know what you think. Enjoy!